All right, we're here at my tiny indoor worm bin, and today we are going to give them a special feeding because we need to bait some of these worms out to start a new worm bin. But first, let's look at what we have here. Now, this bin is about 3.5 months old, and a couple feedings ago we put in some big pieces of newspaper and toilet paper rolls and even some napkins to try and dry it out a little bit. And this time around, we put some shredded paper on the top. We were also trying to get rid of some mites. And I heard from a commenter that this might work, so we'll test that out as well. So we also put in a little bit of a drier feeding, and that was carrots. So let's go ahead and dive inside here and dig around and see how things went. Now I am seeing just a little bit of mites, but nothing too bad. And I'm going to dig down because I think it is going to have a lot of those pieces of newspaper and maybe even some of the feeding left. And we put in a big carrot and it has shrunken down immensely. And this is all that's left of that carrot. We also put in some carrot pieces and we'll look for those, but this is really just the fibers of the carrot. I guess the liquid kind of came out of it and they ate all around that. So let's go ahead and put this to the side. And what I'm going to do with all this dry bedding is I'm going to mix it in, and that is also going to help dry the bin out. So let's keep digging around and see what we have under here. And we've got a lot of beautiful purple worms here. These are all red wigglers. You can see them really well. They're very active. It's an indoor bin. The house is, anywhere from 76 to 68 degrees in, and that is a perfect temperature for the red wigglers to be breeding and eating and making lots of vermicompost. Here's some juveniles right there. And again, this is kind of that newspaper I had been talking about. Go ahead and dig some more and see if we find any of those carrot pieces or carrot peels. I highly doubt we are based on this, piece of long carrot that we had. And at the same time, I'm kind of aerating the bin, which I like to do every time I feed. It helps to get out any pockets of maybe fermentation or ammonia that might have been building up if I had too much nitrogen in there. And you can see this is pretty clumpy, so you wouldn't be able to sift castings that are like this. So this really has to dry out before we were ever going to be able to, harvest the vermicastings. Unless, of course, we count out the individual worms and remove them, which is just painstaking, which I actually do every time we harvest out of this bin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all their feeding into a little bait station, and I'm hoping to get probably somewhere between 300 to 500 worms in it, and then we're going to use that to start our new urban worm bag that I got for Christmas. Here is a piece of corn that has been going, I don't even know, probably a month and a half at least. It's slightly mushy. I know there's worms all in it, so I'm not going to try and break it apart because it's too mushy. Let's come over here to this side. And like I said, we're just not seeing any of those carrot pieces. Maybe this right here. Nope, that's part of the long carrot. But check it out. Just, everywhere I go, lots of worms in here. So we started this bin with 1,008 worms. We'll have to see if when I bait all them out, if I count them, and then when we harvest this bin, I add to the count because I don't want to lose count. I've counted them since we started this bin 4 iterations ago. I think we started with about 50 to 100 worms. Just a small, absolutely small handful, not even a handful really. And this bin is about 3 gallons. It's about the size of a shoebox. And it is really convenient for putting under the kitchen sink or somewhere where you can just drop your food scraps in. So let's keep looking around and then we will set up our bait station. All right, so as you can see, this bin looks like it's mostly castings with some of this new shredded cardboard just kind of speckled through. So this bin is about 3.5 months old, and it's about this time that I would start putting just kind of really big pieces like cardboard tubes in to give them some carbon to eat, but also to make it so that I don't have to pluck out individual pieces of cardboard so that I can harvest my castings. So by putting all that on top, I've kind of made it so I may have to run the bin just a little bit longer. But that's okay because this bin definitely needs to dry out some. 6 weeks is plenty of time to do that. Again, I just marvel at how many worms are in here. and just how active and lively they are. This is just fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to make kind of a hole right here. And I'm going to actually bury this stuff on the side somewhere else. I want it to be down low, but it's not going to be part of the feeding zone because what we have is an egg carton bait station. So I'm just going to snuggle this down here, and it's got kind of these high peaks here that I will probably be able to see to know where it is. And then what we're going to do is put some food in it, and hopefully it will entice them. So here's what we have for our bait station. We have some pumpkin chunks that I have cut up. We're just going to put them down here into these little spots. And then I will put my normal amendments on them. And hopefully this will kind of gather up all the worms. And we'll just be able to pull this out. And the hope is that the worms will come with them. And then we'll just gather those up and they'll be ready for our new bin. But I may count them. So last time I fed, we ran out of worm chow, but I've made a new batch, and this is a really odd batch. In here, we have protein powder for my sons. Anybody that's got teenage son, they're probably into protein powder. Now, don't worry about the worms getting protein poisoning or string of pearl disease. They get plenty of calcium to help counteract any kind of acidity that would occur within their bellies. And I've used this before, and I haven't had any issues. And it's just a very little amount. We also have graham crackers, some oats, some panko breadcrumbs, and grits. All of it expired, all of it from my pantry, so the worms benefit from me not using all our food. All right, next I'm just going to give them a little bit of our coffee and tea grounds that are used, and we just collect them in this container here, waiting for the worms. And then finally we'll just put a little bit of grit. Again, this is just what I do for my normal feedings. I guess I probably didn't need to do all this just to bait them out, but they are used to it, and hopefully that is going to get them all excited about coming in here. So now I'm just going to bury it up, and I'm going to try and keep these things out so I can see what's going on, but I want to get it high enough that the worms can get to it. I need to take these and bury them real quick again. I want to keep that stuff low, all this bedding, and then we'll set this up just like this, and I'll put the newspaper on it. So I'll be able to see exactly where this is, and we'll take them out, and then we will go ahead and have them ready, maybe even count them for our worm bin. So let's go ahead and give them back their newspaper that you can see they've been chewing on. And I guess this part was the bottom. And there we go. So I hope everybody's worm bins are doing well. I hope you are doing well. So happy vermicomposting, everybody. Take care now.